Okay. Hi, how are you doing? Do we have a guide? Yes. Windows 10. Hi, how are you doing? Okay, so I'm gonna try to record. So I actually took capture the flag challenge from Microsoft, and I'm giving it to you today, and I'll walk you through some of it, and I'll let you discover some of the artifacts on your own as well. It's pretty fun and interesting. This is a real challenge, and it is an ongoing challenge. The whole point in this is they want people to start using their product, and if you check out their trial version, it's great. It is, and I think your book talk about their RAM capture. It is a really good tool. They do have specific tool for specific area like sound, like if you're working with audio, or overall you do see Microsoft Evidence Center. And so if you want, you have to register for an account. But today we're actually going to use Autopsy because I don't want you to have to register for an account, download the app, and so on. The image that we're working with is pretty big, and it does take a while to download and extract. So I will change the due date for this particular lab. So if you need more time on it, you can. At home, if you want to just do a whole suite, when I tested it a couple of times, I did run it a few times, and it did take me like a good full 2 hours from beginning to end. So you can check out their software if you're interested in that, if you want to play with it a little bit. Very similar to all the other software tools that you see. Okay, so let's talk about what we are going to work with today. So you have your virtual machine. I encourage you to give it a little bit more RAM if you wanted to give it more core before you boot. If you boot already, you can restart it. But 8 gig is barely the minimal, especially for forensic. So I think it's probably ideal to give it 12 gigs or 16 gigs, and then at least 4 core. Otherwise, and the ingestion at the end, you will get a lot of the stuff coming through, and so you will be able to answer some of the questions. Now, I don't expect you to answer all of the questions, but I expect you to answer most of the questions through the scan, okay? So here's the scenario. This is a case that's part of their capture the flag, right? It gives you the scenario that it's a hot day, and this person received some phone information from their chief, and it turns out that they're looking for this girl, and we don't know who she is, right? She is about 17-year-old, and she likes to party, so we have that clue. She's young, and at that age sometimes, right, people think that they are invincible, so that's the perspective from the story. She has been seen at some parties a few days ago. Her parents said that they didn't think much of it, but then she went missing for 72 hours. Hello. If you have Windows on your laptop, you can use it directly, or if you want to use the virtual machine, you can. Okay. All right, so in this, I wrote it for us to use the virtual machine, and I encourage you to give it more RAM and processor, and you can do that through VirtualBox, right, in the system setting, okay? And you are going to download the image. It is very large, even with compression, okay? So it might take about close to 20 minutes to download, so I urge you to do that first, okay? So when you go to this link, you are going to find the zip file, okay? And the zip file, it contains the E01, which is an image file for the missing girls system, okay? So what you download is a capture image of her computer. Okay, and within that, you would find that she uses other devices as well, right? Because most people nowadays sync this, and this is a pretty recent OS. You know, in the past we used Windows XP, which is dated. This is a pretty recent OS. So when you work with recent OS, expect that your image is going to be very large, especially when you work with iOS, Windows 10, right? The Google one that you saw with the Pixel in the past, we saw it was like about 9 gigs. So this one is going to be roughly about 20 gigs, just to let you know. So downloading takes a while, decompression takes a while, even when you run a good system. So you are going to download a zip file from the link that's provided. And after when you extract, you are required to put in the password, okay? And when you get to the Y, this is a lowercase L. And I try to change the font so you can see that it is a lowercase L, because if you type 1, right, it's going to be wrong. So this is the password. They use a pretty long set of characters there. Okay, so I put the note for you. So make sure that when we decompress, and so I'm going to demo this on my laptop because I decided to uninstall FTK and it takes forever right now on my virtual machine. So when you right click, and then if I'm using 7-zip, I can say extract here, and then it's going to ask you for the password. You need to put that in, or if you're using extract all, it's going to prompt you for the password. So you need to put in the password. Okay. Then once you do that on your virtual machine, you should already have Autopsy as we've used it in the past, right? We've used it in the Google Pixel one, and we use it in the last one. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is to give you an overview on how you would address your project, right? Using application like this, you can use ProDiscover, you can use OS Forensic, you can use Autopsy. But if this is our case to investigate, we have to find out what happened to this party girl. So we would need to get the image. And with forensic, we need to know that we need to dedicate time, right? That's going to take time. So we're going to try to do our best in the time that we're given today. So once you extract the file, you are going to call up Autopsy. Like this, right? We've seen this before. You're just going to make a new case. And I like to use the name that would reflect my investigation case. So I would say find missing girl, right? And you need to make a folder where we are going to store our reports or output from our scan, right? So as you can see here, when I tested this, I already created the folder. So let me make another one. And it's going to put it on my desktop or wherever you like to find your folder. Okay. So in the lab, I had put down that you can make it on your desktop. You need to create a folder. That's where it's going to store all your output. Okay, so when you click the report later, you will be able to find it. Okay, so once we have our case folder, we're just going to proceed to next. And here is where you're going to track your file number or your case number. So this is our third time that we're going to use Autopsy or our third case. You can put whatever number you like there too. And then your information, right? So I'm just previewing it now. I know you're going to take a little bit to download and everything like that. So once it sets it up, then after you extract your image, you are going to add it. So here we're just going to generate your host name. Now, in the past, when we did the Google Pixel, we used the logical file. In this one, we have an image, which is the EO1. So you are going to use the EO1. So you have to select the first option. Okay. And then after that, you are going to browse to your downloads folder. And you are going to point to the Belkasoft CTF Party Girl extracted file, and you are going to look for the EO1. Now, in most cases, I'm going to let you know that it doesn't just have EO1, it have EO2, EO3. It might be very large, especially when you deal with server, right? So you have to do one at a time, get the report, and then eventually put everything together. So just know that sometimes it might be multiple images that you work with, and you are going to have to cohesively plan out your report accordingly, right? So make sure we give time to do this, and we're going to click open. And after that, we are just going to keep the selection the same because you don't know much about her. So you want it to pull images, web, chat, account information, all of the things that we've done before with the Google Pixel 3 type. Encryption, you know, all of those things. The only thing that we didn't select is this, which is by default, it didn't select that. So we can click next. Now, if you are only looking for certain things, let's say phone calls, then you would select that type of option, right? So that means that the ingestion at the end is not going to take very long. Otherwise, you know, if you select everything, it's going to take a lot longer to process it. Okay. So the longest part is the ingestion, but you with Autopsy, you should be able to still see some pieces of artifacts as you move along. Okay. So this part alone is going to take a few minutes for it to go when it set up your data source and scan through. So when I ran this a couple of times, I'm going to take a look at this now. I'm going to tell you right away, you should be able to see who she is, right? At least her first name. Okay. So if as soon as you see your artifact, if you click all the subdirectory that lists some of the information that's related to her, you're going to see right away who she is. Okay. Because this is a laptop, right? And I'm going to give you a hint, it's a Windows laptop, but it contains, right, like connection to cloud. It contains synced data from other devices that she's using. And we know that she has a mobile phone. We wanted to know what kind of mobile phone it is. With Apple, right? I'm going to tell you it's an Apple phone. You have to find the version of the phone. With Apple, though, the iCloud side on Apple, it's a little harder to get because if we try to pull stuff from the iCloud, if we don't have her credential, right, that's going to be difficult. So your objective too is to think about how you can obtain her credential from the SIG data that we have from the iCloud. Okay, so in that it will be like hex value. Sometimes you have to evaluate, but I didn't expect you to pull the credential for her iPhone. I just want you to at least find some data that we can use to kind of piece together like what happened to her. Where did she go? Right. So the OS, the phone, the type of phone that she used. And also right away, you should be able to have some images, okay, that she has taken to show that the parties that she's been to and the places that she traveled. Okay, and look at where the pictures are stored. You should be able to see email. So a big clue that we're gonna probably need to understand is that there is some communication through email about her invitation right before she went missing. So take a look at some email, her email account, and if you can find some kind of text information via email or even chat messages or through the apps on who invited her and what happened. Okay, So there's got to be some app information and email information related to, you know, some form of invitation before she went missing. Okay, so there's like the meetup. Is there a way that we can find some chat password? Okay, so if we could do that, we would be able to access her chat log, right? That's the point. Okay. So will you need to answer all of these questions? No, but at least the majority of them, I'm fine with that, right? Given time, you would be able to, and besides this, to really answer all the questions, you would need to use additional tools along with Autopsy, like, you know, hex reader. You would also need to evaluate possibly video and audio. So, you know, Belkasoft designed this image to be used with all their tools. Okay. All right. But there, I know for sure that you would be able to see some cloud storage and its file. Okay, so you should be able to see stuff like pictures or stuff that she had put on the cloud. So that will also give us some clue about her. And then you might be able to find some geolocation through metadata of the picture that she recently took, and that kind of gives you a clue on whereabouts she would be in the world. Okay, I'm gonna give you the clue that she is not in the United States. Okay. So there are pictures and things that also tell you that too.
People that design the television, why do they think the 17-year-old is doing party with a Gmail?
No, it's actually another form of invitation, but there is some email that leads up to that. Yeah. Well, obviously they were not partying at 17, the ones that wrote this piece, right? But you know, you get the point.
Yeah.
I know. But Belkasoft is a legitimate software. They, you know, they do a good job in providing the tools. Now, if you know, this is, I'm gonna put it out there, right? There are solutions for this, and I don't want you to look at it because I want you to find it, right? And then, but there are not complete solutions for it. They did do a little bit of promo video using their software, right? But even if you look at the solutions that they've had written up, there's still some missing parts. So I edit some of the things because as I was looking through the scan, and I actually found more pieces of information that give me more clue about the girl. So some of the questions I added were a little bit different than what you see in their original Capture the Flag competition. Okay. So this could be your job, right? If you find this interesting and fun, I think it's really fun. It's like, you know, treasure hunt. So, you know, try to find as much information about this particular girl as possible. That's my take on it. Okay, so finish. So let me open what I found, and I'm going to show you a little bit. So while you wait. It won't let me. Maybe it does. So you are gonna get email messages. I recommend looking at the email messages. Okay, who talked to her via email. there are a lot of installed programs, but the web accounts also tell us the type of apps that she used, the credential that she used, and we can look further into the app data. Definitely for the image, go to the EXIF metadata. You are going to see a lot of like details about the pictures that she took. And then look at the tags for those on, you know. And then there are accounts that are related to other devices outside of this particular laptop that we're looking at. So she did use her smartphone and other device that is not Windows, right? We know that it will be Apple. So you would look for the iOS stuff there. Okay. And I don't want to expand it because you will see the answer. But I'll let you scan it and so you can see. Okay. So I didn't put down the step on what to click because we already did that in the last one. So I want you to go through and take a look at these and see what you find. Okay. And so make sure that we address these questions. And if you let it run for a bit, it's going to update your artifacts, of course. Now, if you give it another shot with Melkasoft, you can probably find, you know, maybe other things. But like I said, you can't just run one suite of your forensic software and be done with. You also have to use other tools, right? Like hex reader, geolocation type of app, stuff like that, unless your suite already have that built in. Okay. I know Autopsy is pretty good. It has some stuff that's related to geolocation, but there are other tools out there that you can implement. Okay. Any questions? So about 20 minutes to download, a little bit to extract, and then we'll run it high. Then you're gonna need your drive. Download and extraction does take a little bit of time. So we would get started on that. So let me stop the recording.